Look at so many people that want to learn about body language. I love it. Thank you all for being here. We're actually going to go ahead and start this session. So thank you. One of the questions that I always get asked is, can you use body language to predict behavior? You actually can. And so one of the things that I want to present to you is how you keep yourself from being misunderstood. So this is as much about understanding yourself as it is reading other people's body language. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the agenda, what we're going to go through today. We're going to introduce who are these two crazy body language people up here who are going to talk to you. Shaking hands, why is that important? We're going to get into that. A little bit as far as the fundamentals. There are rules with body language. One gesture usually doesn't mean anything. Despite what anybody else tells you, that's somebody who's trying to sell you something. We are going to talk about strategic seating. The shapes of a table actually influence the outcome of a meeting. And every seat where you can sit at a table changes the dynamic on how that meeting is going to go, either for you or against you. We're going to talk about that. Who here testifies in front of a commission or has testified? Got it in the back over there? Okay, perfect. That's going to be incredibly valuable for you. We're going to go over some of the body language that can help and hurt you before testifying in front of a commission. And then we're going to talk about how to make the most of your conference experience. So for anyone who has not met me, I have a very eclectic past. I actually start off as a chaplain, if you can believe it or not. That's like a pastor or preacher. And from then, I moved to the Bellagio Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. That's where I'm from, born and raised, where I was responsible for all of the celebrity clientele. So like Mr. Cruz, he was one of my clients, and I dealt with a lot of A-list celebrities. My business is certified as a disability-owned business enterprise just because of my disability. I also, believe it or not, I'm published. Look at that. It's been an amazing year. Some of my works got published out there for my work on forgiveness, and I currently serve as a subject matter expert for the FBI in the area of advanced interview and interrogation techniques. So again, really eclectic past. Grab Dr. Pepper, and I'll sit down and tell you a lot more later on tonight on the boat. So with that, my company, Client Confidant, we actually work in the energy industry to reduce risk for a lot of utilities. So what we do is we do mid-contract reviews with for you on behalf of your implementation contractors to reduce the risk that they're going to fail to meet your expectations. And Rebecca, please.
Hi, Rebecca Southard here. I started my formal education at ORU, where I was a psychology major and a minor in art. And I worked from there many years in psych hospitals, working with groups. I still work with groups of women, as in this is a recent group I did with women. I have a skincare company that is all organic and sustainably sourced. I make all the products myself. It's really been passed down to me from my mother, and I love to continue that. I am very artistic. I make light sculptures. I love to sail almost every weekend, all summer long, and even into the fall. You'll see me on Lake Keystone, which is the dammed up Arkansas River, and I have a passion and love for that river. I am trained, like Bobby, in microexpressions. And so microexpressions are these quick movements that your face does that you have no control over, and your body tries to control them and conceal them. So you cannot hide your microexpressions. You can learn about microexpressions and how to read them on others, and that will raise your emotional intelligence. And what you learn today, I hope this is fun for you. It's fun for us. We love it. We're passionate about it. And I hope you take some skills home today.
Yeah, psych hospitals, energy, we're good. So yes, sessions later. So how to shake hands. Why are we going to talk about that?
It's so important because you have more nerve endings in your hand to your body than anywhere else, any other connections. And I also feel like in this virtual world where we don't actually are in person very often, it is so important to stand up, to reach out and have a moment with that person, an actual moment where you're looking them in the eye, you're having that connection, they know that you care. It's very important.
And thank you for sitting at the volunteer table. We really appreciate that. But seriously, as far as getting to know us a little bit, we love interruptions. If I get no interruptions, we have failed you today. We've had lots of interruptions when we do this. If you think of anything, that is always the right time to say it. Just raise your hand. We've got individuals with mics. They're going to come up to you. But we expect interruptions throughout this. This is going to be more valuable to you if you do interrupt, if you ask those questions. There's a lot with body language, too much to fit in a 1-hour session. So we cherry-picked certain topics that we think would be beneficial for you. But as you have questions, make sure you let us know. So who goes first as far as shaking hands? Well, that depends. Why are you there? Is this a sales call? Or are you going out to meet one of your customers? You let the customer go first. They're the one who extends their hand first. What do you do if they don't extend their hand? A small head nod. I see you. I acknowledge you. It's a social gesture. It's a conversational signal that you want to go through. But usually you're trained to let the other person go first because it's a sign that you're welcome. Are you actually welcome there? Do they actually want you there? Let them extend their hand first. So with that.
Okay, we have 3 different types of handshakes. It's very simple. You have the palm down, palm up, straight forward.
So with that, a couple different examples here. In this situation, this picture is showing that the U.S. is subservient to Russia. This is not a great picture for the U.S., but whenever you see that palm down handshake, this is the most aggressive type of handshake. You see this a lot from executives, people that are literally trying to control you. It's a power move. That's all it is.
Submissive, hands open. Bobby has shared that he uses this a lot in the hospitality industry. It's like, here I am to serve you. But that's not really what we want.
No, not ideally. Unless you're dealing with celebrities like I was when I was meeting an A-list celebrity. A lot of people, they're told that the world revolves around them, and eventually they start to believe it. So that was my handshake when I was in that industry. What we want in most business settings, it's the vertical, it's the handshake that all of us give. It's vertical position, apply the same pressure you receive. Simple, simple, simple. So with that.
Okay, how do you shake hands step by step?
You're going to find a partner. We're going to practice this. So pick a person or two, same intensity, same angle, and we're going to practice this. I know it's going to sound funny, but you're starting off your conference, you're going to start off well.
Stand
so
up.
Each person, pick someone, stand up. There we go. Pick another. Oh, you're good. Okay, we're going to love the next one. There, see? I love that. There you go. That's a good one. We're actually going to cover that. Yeah. Well done. Great job. See? Well done. Okay, everybody, you can have a seat now. We're going to practice again in just a moment with another one. So, what do you do when you're out there meeting customers? They shook hands too much. That's an even better handshake. There you go. Well done. So let's say that you're out there. Awesome. All right. I'm going to bring us back together now. Sorry about that.
Break it up, break it up.
It was too effective. That's all it is. So what do you do if you go out there and you're meeting one of your customers at their location? You're going out to an industrial facility. Let's say that there's a thank you. You just did a big project and there's a photo op. Where do you put your executive team in the photo op? You're going to want to put them on the left-hand side. Why? Because, Tony, I'm going to demonstrate with you. Please, come up here. So if Tony and I were giving each other a handshake, if this was a photo op and we're giving each other a handshake, vertical handshake, equality, right? How does it look to you? It looks like he's given me the palm down handshake. That's why former President Nixon was showing that he was more important than the king of rock and roll. Politicians are great at this. That's why, love him or hate him, Donald Trump is phenomenal at body language. Do you see what he's doing right there? He got stuck on the wrong side of the photo. What does he do? Let's do that again. We're in the same situation. There we go. What does this mean? I win. That's exactly what it means.
Unless you do that.
Oh, unless you do that. That's a good way to counter. He does that one too. But that's why you'll see politicians, they'll do that. It's really important. So if you're out there, you're doing a customer event, you're getting photos, if you have your executive team there, try to put them on the left-hand side, because even if they do something like shaking hands, it's going to make it appear like they're the most powerful person there. So whoever you want to make the most powerful person, put them on the left-hand side.
Oh no, when it all goes wrong, what do we do?
Yeah, so we're actually going to demonstrate that. I need one volunteer. I'm going to have about a dozen volunteers throughout the day. So first person, who wants to come up? Please. So you're going to give me your least favorite handshake that you've ever received. And I'm going to show how to recover from that, because guess what? You're going to encounter this sometimes. So give me your least favorite handshake. Oh, no, let's do that again. There we go. So you're actually going to grab their wrist, and you take it out, and you're going to place it in your hand. So it doesn't matter if you give me whatever you give me. I'm going to go ahead and, yes, we'll try that again. So I'm going to say, oh, no, let's do that again, right like that. You're actually going to physically put their hand in yours, because you're showing them that you're important. This meeting is actually important. So that's why we're going to do that. So now's the fun exercise. You're going to pair up, and one of you gets to give your least favorite handshake to the other person. And then they have to recover. So what do? You're going to grab their wrist, put it in your hand, and you're going to smile like, hey, let's do that again. So I would like you to pair up again, and this time one of you is going to give their least favorite handshake. You pick whichever handshake that is, but if you'll pair up, we're going to practice that one. So this is all about how to recover in this situation. Yes. I'm going with the flow. There you go. There you go. That's funny. There you go. It happens. Yeah.
Well, especially when you're like, how hard do you grab it? Because like I've had it where it's like real soft hands.
A soft handshake, I would still put that in, but if they do a 4, you do a 3. That's a good question, though.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, my God.
Nice to meet you.
We're going to give you a hug. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'm seeing some terrible handshakes and great recoveries. So that is awesome. Well done.
Let's try that again.
Yes, please. That's what you're really saying when you say that. So I had a really good question. What if somebody gives you a really light handshake? So let's say on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as intensity, they shake your hand at a 4, you shake their hand at a 3. You usually go a little bit less than whatever handshake you're given. If they give you a handshake at an 8, you don't want to get into a 9. In business school, that's what we call a pissing contest. You don't want to do that.
And also men have a much stronger hand than women, and not always, but don't crush your female
Please.
opponent's hand.
Absolutely. So why are we talking about this? Because your handshake actually tells more about you than your business card. And anybody that's paying attention, that's what they're going to pick up on. Questions on handshakes before we move on, please.
So we were talking at this table.
Yes.
Like since COVID, the alternative methods, like a fist bump,
Hit.
elbow bump, how
Let the other person go first. Now, if they offer you an elbow, so if you offer me an elbow, I'm going to give you an elbow right back. It's about the other person and their needs, not about me and selfishly my needs. Still make eye contact. Now, if he offers to shake my hand and I refuse to shake his hand, how would that make you feel? Thank you.
Then you give them some different body.
Yeah, there you go. That's another class. But yeah, so it really, you're gauging your reactions off of them. So in the post-COVID world, a head nod. If the other person doesn't extend their hand, I give a head nod. That shows, I see you, you're there. Great question. I gauge my behavior off of the other person because I want to make sure that they feel respected and important. That's how I prefer to do it. As long as you match them. Some people have medical conditions. With that, communication's your friend. As you're greeting them, you know what, I have a medical condition, so I don't shake hands right now. Everybody's going to give you a pass on that. But the thing is communication. You want to be able to communicate to them so they don't feel jilted that you're refusing to shake their hand. Great question. Please.
So we were also talking about like where culture plays
Yes.
a role in this. And when we were in Europe, you go to shake their hand and they pull you close and they give you kisses on each side of your cheek, right?
They
So
do.
how do you respond to like?
I'll get kissed in that situation. That's just me. I gauge it off of them. If they're going to pull me close, I'll go with it. You have to know your personal boundaries and what you're okay with. I tend to be other focused, so I'm concerned about the other person's need. I'll be okay with that. If you're not, just communicate ahead of time. Like, I'm just not feeling great today, so we're just going to wave. But you have to be okay with that. Personal boundaries are good. Another question.
Yeah, so related to, obviously we were all talking about culture, so related
Sure.
to culture, how do you address the nature of grabbing somebody's hand? Like, to me, that feels very aggressive. Like, let me grab your hand and make you do it right. And it just feels very,
A smile. If you do it with a smile and like more like a joke, like, hey, let's do that again. Like you're showing them if you have warmth in you, it's going to go across well. You don't want to just manhandle somebody like that. You're right. That would go off wrong. That's not what you want to do. But if you smile and you say almost like a joke, like, hey, let's try that again. Let's do that again. It's all about the how as far as in that situation. Cultural differences, I believe in respecting other cultures, so that's why I usually let them go first, because they're going to dictate what they're comfortable with. And I'm okay with being flexible and going along with that. Great question. Anything else on shaking hands before we keep going? Please.
What's the appropriate length of a handshake? And have you effectively disengaged from a handshake that's gone on too long?
Less than a minute. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's really when you're shaking the other person's hand, when you feel their grip go from an 8 to 7, 6, you, like instantly, like that's the let go. Other people usually communicate how long they're comfortable with, but you're right, some people will just hang on for dear life.
So if they're hanging on and you communicate the lesson grip, is it okay to grab their hand? I feel like that's enough.
It depends if this is a short-term or long-term relationship. If it's a short-term, go for it. If it's a long-term, you're going to go along for the ride. So that's really how that works out. Great questions. Yes?
The one who's like, doing this like crazy while listening.
I hate that handshake. In that situation, I would do the recovery. The same thing as if they gave me just that dead fish handshake. And as they're shaking me, I was like, wait, hey, let's do this right. And I'd stop them and show them, like, we're not going to do that. It's just one of those things. It's a personal preference, but most people would not like that. I would treat it like any bad handshake.
Hey, Bowie.
Yes.
Right here. I went with it, but I got a left-handed handshake one time.
Yes.
And they did it, they went first.
Yes.
So that was odd for me, and I've never forgotten it. Her name was Jane.
You know, if you let the person go first, they'll tell you what hand. I gave a body language session last summer about how to shake hands with a person without hands at a disability conference. That was a really interesting session as far as how you work with that. Essentially, let the other person go first. If they give me their left hand, I'm going to give them my left hand. It does feel odd, though. Yeah. Good questions. So fundamentals of body language analysis. There are some rules as far as with body language. So as you're judging others, some things to keep in mind. Dr. Albert Morabian, 1950s, he came up with what's the meaning within communication? Where does meaning lie? And what he found that over half of it is in the nonverbal. This is what we would call body language. The next 38% is tone of voice, and only 7% of a message meaning are contained in the words that we use. That's why emails and texts are so easy to misread. You don't have the tone of voice. You can't hear the empathy in someone's voice. That's why if you have negative information, you should never send it in an email alone. Give the person a call. Hey, I'm about to send an email with some negative information. I'd love to talk to you about it after you read this. Let's have a phone conversation. That goes across much better. What this also means is whenever any of these two areas are incongruent, when they're not matching, people believe the one with the highest percentage. Have you ever met someone and instantly you got a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach, like something's just really just not right here? Usually what you're doing is you're picking up on their body language and you're figuring out that something is not matching. Their body language isn't matching their tone, or that's not matching their words. Whenever that happens, you always trust yourself. That is always what you should do. If you get that bad feeling, it's for a reason. It's somebody that's trying to present themselves as a way that they are not, or they're just lying to you. But all of body language, we're going to refer back to this throughout the session. Some of the rules, 3 C's, clusters, more than one body language signal, it's more probable that you're reading the situation right. That's what the person is actually going through. Congruence is what I just talked about, making sure that these areas of the chart all line up together. And context, if somebody just walked in and they had a really tough phone call, maybe they're not mad at me. Maybe they're still upset about that phone call. Everything is context. So you need these as you're evaluating yours and others' body language.
So body language is so important as in gestures. They've done studies with TED Talks, and the most successful TED Talks have the most body language.
Yes.
So using them in your it may feel awkward at first, but using them, you're actually, the person's going to take in more of what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just how that works. This is a matching what you see in here in the environment it happens and then drawing a probable conclusion. There is science behind body language. It's not just all feelings. This is actually, if you were to see a negative decision before it happens, that would give you an opportunity to make another decision. Maybe you're given a presentation. Don't keep going with your presentation and wait for a no. Adjust your presentation on the fly if you're seeing that someone's not getting it, they're not understanding it, they're starting to close off their body language. Find out why. Take the time. So with that, I'm going to have a lot of volunteers that I'm going to ask for this next part. It's called strategic seating. And in this diagram, we're going to go through the table test. A, this is either your customer, your manager, whoever, a person that you want them to be. B are all the different places around this table where you can sit. So with that, can I have the first volunteer? Somebody who's okay with going up on stage, please. We're going to go right up here, and we're going to go through each of these positions. I'm going to show you positions that will help you and positions that will hurt you. So hopefully you never look at seating the same way. If you can go up to this back chair right here, and I'm going to sit right next to you. So this, and I'm going to promise not to fall off the stage. So we should be okay there. This is called the corner position. I love this position, especially if it was our first meeting. You and I haven't met before. It provides you this corner. You feel protected. You have it there. There's no territorial division of the table. This is just you and I having a conversation. This is the most strategic position for giving a presentation and having it accepted is right here, is this corner position. Because as you and I are talking, I'm going to pretend this is not here as far as this cover. What I'm usually doing is that while I'm talking to you, I'm watching your legs. Because the legs tell you everything about what's going on with the person. Where their feet point, that's where their mind wants to go. And we're going to get into that in a few more slides. If I was talking about a certain subject and all of a sudden I watched your feet cross, ooh, I just stepped on something important. Really important to know what that is before we go ahead and move on. But this is why this is my favorite position. It's called the corner position. And I'm just going to bring you up here. See, you got an easy one. That's it. See, you're good. Next volunteer, if you please. Oh, question.
You don't have a block there in front of the table so you can see her legs and her feet.
Yes.
You're talking to a woman, and she has on a skirt.
Yes.
And across her ankles, just a modesty.
Absolutely, and that's the context portion of the 3 C's of body language. You're absolutely right. But if she crosses her ankles and she crosses her arm and I'm reading her face, then I'm like, there's something going on here. All in context, please.
What if you're just fidgeting?
Let's demonstrate that. Why don't you come up? Thank you so much. I'm actually, for this one, you're going to be fidgety in this chair right over here.
I'm a fidgeter.
That's absolutely, please. I'll have you right here. And I'm going to be right next to you while you're fidgety.
See, because I would do this, sit here for a minute, and then I'd listen for a minute.
Absolutely. So baselines, you all are familiar with baselines. I set a baseline on every person that I meet. So if you and I were meeting for the first time, and with the first 5 or 10 minutes, we're talking about the weather, we're talking about kids, I'm going to be gauging how you're acting to me. If you're fidgety during that first 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to discount the fidgetiness throughout whatever meeting we're about to have. So that's normal for you. That's what we call a conversational signal. You want to get a baseline on every person so you can accurately engage with them. What does this mean? So I'm going to leave you right in that position like that. This is the second position I want to talk about. This is another really good one. This is called the cooperative position. This is the most strategic position to present a case and actually have it accepted. Why? Because we have good eye contact. Also, if I was more flexible, I could mirror you as far as that goes, but I get to match what angle she's facing me at. Mirroring is just a way to show the other person, you know what, I'm actually just like you. It's a way of lowering defense mechanisms and shorten the length of time it takes to build trust. I love this position just because it's so open. It's really easy to mirror somebody. Rebecca, I'm gonna have you come up here and take this position. There's another option, it's called siding with the opposition. So let's pretend that you're my client and I'm here to talk to you. I am literally and figuratively on the same side of the table with you. Let's say Rebecca works at the same company I do. She could be, let's say, my technical expert in this situation. I would have her present to you. She's in a terrible position to engage with you, absolutely terrible. So I'm on your side. Even though we're on the same team, I'm sitting here like almost interpreting what she is saying to show you physically. I'm on your side and figuratively as well. Bringing a technical expert, you actually want to sit them in the worst position possible. Think about good cop, bad cop. Yes, you can. But that's how it would work in this situation. She's the technical expert. She's trying to win you over. I'm the one really telling you what's going on as far as that goes. Thank you. Did I answer your fidgety question? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Baselines are where you're at. Next volunteer, if you please.
Yeah, somebody else.
Somebody else, yes. There we are, please. Now for this one, I'm gonna sit you in this chair directly opposite with me, and we're gonna make sure you do not fall off the stage. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. So if you'll just take a seat right there. This is the absolute worst position. You do not want to be here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to ask anybody to out themselves, but how many of your desks are set up just like this? When you have staff come in, where do you set them? This is terrible. You and I have separate edges. We have a real clear division as far as who's on which side. This is what we call the competitive defensive position. This raises defense mechanisms. So unfortunately, in a lot of manager-employee situations, how are they set up? It's not good. That's not collaboration. That's not, if you want an open team, this is not the way to do it. This isn't the way to meet with your customers. It's not the way to meet with your clients. I have created more work for myself if I was trying to win you over if I set us in this position. We're going to go into what to do to change territories in just a moment. Thank you so much. For this next one, I'm going to rearrange chairs a little bit. If I could have another person come up, please. Please. For this one, I'm going to seat you right over here, again, not falling off the stage. So you're going to sit right in front of the computer there. Where do you see this position? This is at cafeterias. This is park benches. This is two people who do not want to interact with one another. Now, one thing that I do is if I'm forced to choose a seat first when I walk into a room, I might have a notebook or whatever I'm with. I might stake a claim right there. So now if this was here and you walked in and you chose that seat over there, that tells me a lot. It tells me she doesn't want to deal with me. She doesn't want to be here at this meeting. And knowing that ahead of time, it helps me rechange what sort of presentation I'm going to make to her. Now, I'm not going to let this sit. I'm not going to have a meeting just like this. But we're going to go on how to switch table territories in just a minute. But the most important thing, if you see somebody who sits down at your table like this, they don't want to have anything to deal with you. That's what that really means. Understanding that can help you as far as your pitch to you, as far as if I was trying to win you over on something. Does that make sense? Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This next one, so let's say you go into a customer's organization and you want to find out, okay, who's the most powerful person in the room? You haven't met them before. What does this look like? How do you size up a room? Take a mental note of what you think are the most powerful positions in order. I'm going to get to the answers in just a second, just silently. On the left, we're going to assume that's a wall. On the right, that's a door that opens behind B. Got it? All right. A, B, D, then C, then E. A, most powerful position. B, less powerful because there's that door. It's the whole safety, just the interpersonal, how we feel as humans as far as if we're exposed. D is what you would call a relational leader. This is where I like to sit when I go into rooms like that because I want collaboration. So if you go into a customer's organization and you know that D is the president of the company, you know what type of leader they are. And you can figure that out just how they sat themselves around their team. C, it's the right-hand person. E is the least powerful position in the room. So if you do walk into a customer's location, you want to figure out who really has the power in this relationship. Size them up. Table shapes.
Yeah, rectangular tables, you know, so they're like the one up here. You're on each on a different side. It lets everybody take a position. It can be some equality. It's not my favorite position, though.
Not my favorite either. I get asked by a lot of executives to help them change their dynamic. So let's say they have an employee that usually takes up a lot of their time, that they don't want to take up that much of their time. I counsel that executive, actually buy a little square table. Set it off to the side, because unfortunately most offices, executive offices that I go into, they're set up with this rectangular table. It's not set up for success. If you do have one of those employees who comes in who takes up a lot of your time, as soon as they come in the room, you stand up, you go over to the square table, you sit down. What you're communicating is we are going to have a very effective 3-minute conversation. It's how it works. It's good for subordinate situations, cooperation, opposition. By moving to a smaller table, you can communicate your intentions. You're not going to spend 30 minutes with that employee. Nothing against that employee. You're just going to have a very focused conversation.
The circular table is my favorite because you can stake your claim wherever you would like, and it's an open collaboration.
It removes hierarchies, especially if you want to make sure that everybody is an equal, or if you're trying to have a brainstorming session with your team. Round table is what you do. Because if you have any other table, they're going to naturally defer to the leader. And they're going to let the leader dictate. Well, that's not usually what you want in collaboration. Round table. So for this next one, I'll need 2 volunteers. We're going to show you some inclusion techniques. If you're talking to 2 people at the same time, how do you make sure one of them doesn't pull out their phone? If I can have 2 volunteers for this one. Please? I get to choose. Okay, there we go. Please. We're going to go right behind these tables, and I'm going to have you right at the front here. One here, and then one off to this corner. So in this situation, I'm trying to talk to both of you simultaneously, but I want to make sure somebody doesn't pull out their phone. It happens. What do you do? So in a situation like this, I'm going to start off the sentence looking directly at you, but before I even finish the sentence, I transition over. You do it mid-sentence. That's the easiest way, because you don't know at what point I'm going to turn back to you or just keep going back to you. You don't know. It's going to force both of you to stay engaged with me rather than going off into your phones. Does that happen? All the time. If you talk to one person and then mid-sentence transition while you're doing that with your gaze, it's a way to keep the attention on while you're there at the meeting. So anybody that's looking for more engagement, trying to keep people involved with a conversation, it's the easiest way to do it. Questions there? I saw a couple question looks.
I have a comment.
Yes.
It's like we've probably all been in conversations with someone where they just are focused on one person and they're not looking over to you. It's also like you're excluding the other person at the table, so it's important to share the time.
And it could be this situation. Let's say you're the decision maker. I want to spend equal time with you because how I treat you should be important to you, especially if this was a dynamic, this was your team member. You want to make sure you show that respect to each person. Some people like to fixate. It's good to share it. Does that make sense? Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. We're doing the easy ones today. I don't have you guys explain, please.
What if, even though you're engaging with both of them, one does ultimately still pull out their phone?
I love those situations. I use what we call in law enforcement tactical silence. Yes. I also use what's called a handover gesture, where I'll stop, and then I'll sit there. And I tell you, I will last longer than any other person as far as that goes, because I want them engaged in that conversation. So how do you switch table territories? If I could have another volunteer, we're going to present on this table right here. I'm going to show you how you switch table territories. If you do get stuck in an unfortunate position, how do you get out of it? Who would like to come up? No song and dance this time. Please. Are you okay sitting with your back to the audience? Okay. Thank you. So if you do find yourself in this position, what do? This is a terrible position for me to actually engage with you. You don't want this. I usually have some sort of prop, book, report, whatever it is. Imagine you have an invisible dotted line down the middle of the table, your side, my side. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to place it right in the middle on that invisible line, and I'm asking, actually, if you'll go ahead and take a look at that, that would be great. Did you see what she just did? When she pulled it over to her, that is an invitation to switch table territory. So as you did that, usually what I'll do is like, you know what, actually, let me come around because I want to show you what we're about to talk about. And then that's a much more natural way. I have a reason for coming around to show you what we're actually going to go through. This is a phenomenally better position than this competitive defensive position. Does that make sense? Now, what if she doesn't take it? What do you do then? Or even worse, push it back to me. Yeah, absolutely, go for it. Then you stay right here. She has effectively communicated her boundary. And that means it's safest to, even though this is a terrible position, if you did that and then I moved around, you can get exited out of the meeting. That's a great way to get yourself uninvited or not invited back. So if you set a boundary like that, you respect it. Now, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to find another way to test the conversation as we go through. But please, yes.
Can this position be used as a strategy that you want to go, you want to create this at first, but you want to go around it?
I'm going to be on an inferior strategy. I would much rather start off the meeting from a position of strength here, or even the cooperative position, rather than create an artificial hurdle for myself to jump over. People can see through gamesmanship, and what you want is authenticity. Garbage in, garbage out. So I would rather start off from a position of strength than force myself to move around. Great question, though. Thank you. So this one, we don't actually have these chairs, but if we did.
Yes, so you want to be on equal footing with the person you're talking to. If you're wanting to feel superior, you have your chair higher than them and you're looking down at them. And also, maybe you're wanting for them to have some power. You could even go a little lower, showing like, I'm giving that to you. But having that eye-to-eye contact is important.
So if any of you have ever either interviewed with Rebecca or I, one of the things you'll notice is when we get in the room, we're going to drop our chair all the way to the floor because we're there for you. We're your advocate. We are your confidant. That's why we're there, and that's why we'll show that preference to you. When I was in Vegas, one of my clients had alleged ties to organized crime, and he had his desk set up really high, and when you sat down in front, you were made to sink all the way to the floor, so you had to look up to him like God. It's an intimidation tactic. In business, drop your chair usually. That's the safest way to go. This is a really interesting one. So if you see your customer adopt this strategy, what you do is you stop talking. Because the only thing you can do at this point is talk yourself out of business. Because most people, they make their final decision with both feet flat on the ground. If you see them adopt this position, this is somebody who's ready. They're either ready to buy, they're ready for an agreement, they're ready to talk. At this point, you stop talking when they adopt this strategy. One of the easiest ways, I'll do a handover gesture, or I'll ask them, well, what do you think about this? If you keep going at this point, you can only talk yourself out of business. Does that make sense? But this is a very positive body language signal. If you see this from your customers, you're on the right track, and you stop immediately.
Body pointing. So you could go into any bar and see who the woman in there, when she's talking to a group of men, who is she interested in? It's who she's pointing her foot towards. So where the foot goes, the heart goes. And also, so if you're speaking in front of a group of people, you want to be open. You want your feet open, so you're open to everyone.
So as you're at this conference and you talk to somebody, if they change and they start pointing towards the door, let them go. They're done with you. That's a very polite way to say, move on. So seated body pointing, you actually can do this in your chairs when you're sitting down with someone. For this, I'll need a volunteer, and I'm just going to borrow some of these chairs, and we're going to demonstrate this. Could I have one volunteer, please? Somebody, oh, there we are. If you'll take this one, sir. This first position, this is called relaxed informality. We've got our chairs 45 degrees, 45 degrees. You and I are just having a friendly discussion. Nothing intense, nothing intimidating about this conversation. We're just sitting here, we're talking about whatever. So as we're talking, what if I change? And this seems like a very different conversation, does it?
Yeah.
It's a lot more intense. Yes. You can change from relaxed informality to very serious with 45 degrees. It feels different. This feels like it could be a disciplinary talk. Yes, that's not good. There we go. Yes, now we're in that contest I talked about as far as who's the bigger person. So that's not what you want usually, but when you're having discussions, you can use this with limited to emphasize certain points, but I always go back to here. I always go back to relaxed informality. It keeps it much more friendly, more open. If you are squared on, the person knows this is a very different conversation. So what if, go ahead.
So what am I supposed to do if you're squaring me out?
If you're going to feel threatened, so it depends on your personality. You would either square off back, but most commonly, stay right there. I don't mirror negative body language signals because that escalates situations. So if you were to then go square off with me, we're going to get in a fight. That's essentially what's going to happen at this point. So if you'll sit back at the 45 degrees. So let's say he was my employee and I had to talk about something that was sort of sensitive. Maybe it was something you had done wrong. It was a disciplinary action. How do you deal with that and still leave the person feeling respected? I'm going to turn my chair actually 45 degrees the other way. And I'm going to be talking like this, and you and I'm going to look back now and then to make sure that we're in agreement, and then I'm going to minimize eye contact. This is a way to let somebody feel respected even while we have to talk about something that's difficult. It's just, you're allowing them a way to escape. This is similar to the Art of War's, the Golden Bridge concept, where anyone who's defeated, you allow them a path to escape without letting them feel embarrassed or ashamed. It's the same way when you do this as far as disciplinary action with a contractor, with an employee. It minimizes eye contact, and I'm not trying to rub your nose in it. That's really what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Escaping.
Yes, go for it. Yes. I would do a cooperative position, and I would physically move my chair to have that conversation. It depends how sensitive it is. Depending on the severity of it, I might close the door, or I might leave the door open so they felt like they had a path of escape. So most people, if you bring up any sort of criticism, most of us are really hard at taking criticism. So I want to make it as easy as possible for the person to take it and actually make a positive change. So in that case, I'll do whatever I need to make sure that person feels respected. Now, I could have gone straight on if it was a serious issue. That's like rubbing somebody's nose in it. I'm going to turn my chair the opposite way. I'm going to give them the maximum amount of respect that I can in that situation. That's just up to you as a person, how you choose to view the outside world. I think it's a better way. Good question. Others? Okay. Most importantly, seating positions should never be accidental. I hope that's what you'll take from today. Where you sit matters, and the shape of a table matters. So with that, yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
So for the interview panel, right, if you're, in Mike's, this example, 3 executives, interviewing another executive applicant.
Sure.
What would be the best position? Because more times than not, it is a rectangle table.
You don't want to sit with them in opposition. It's not going to encourage truthfulness. I would put someone in the cooperative position side by side with them. I would put another person in the corner position because you want to try to get the accurate information out of the person so you can make the best decision you can. For that, you have to make people feel comfortable, and they don't feel comfortable when you're pointing a gun at them, when you're straight across from the table. It's not one of the best ways. But good question. So testifying in front of a commission. I know this can seem scary. There's actually a way through that'll make you successful. So 3 critical points. Perhaps you don't testify today, but you might in the future. So these are really important. First of all, there's protocol for all this. You are in a court of law. Literally, that is why you are there. It's not personal. They might be attacking your company, They are not attacking you. So usually there's a lot of utilities that I see represented in this room. They might be attacking your utility. They are not trying to go after you personally. Usually what they're doing is they're looking for a win. They want something that validates their position and why they were there and that they were able to get a win out of this situation. Sometimes you are there to lose. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So earlier in my career, when I was over a solar portfolio, I had about $100 million in our solar budget. And we had our utility program manager go up to defend this. There was 3 buckets of money that we're going to go after. One was about $800,000, another one was $400,000, and then there was a small one that was $60,000. Now, it killed the utility program manager to have to give up the $60,000. It was something arbitrary. It wasn't even real. It was a perception of something. We could have fought it, but again, sometimes you're there to lose. The attorney was overjoyed and happy. We lost $60,000 off of a $100 million budget. That's a win every day for an attorney. Sometimes in this situation, you will be there to lose. So to set the stage, when you're called for a hearing, it's usually to review something. There is something that's the focus of what they're trying to do. Now, the other parties, they're going to lay out with positioning the interveners as far as their view on how things should have done. You can bring technical materials, but be cognizant. If you bring a technical material to this court of law, you have to provide it to all the other parties, which means when you're up there and you get questions, you don't want to be digging around in emails. Why? Because you're going to have to provide that to each of the other parties. And maybe there's something in that email that you don't want read. Really important. So in these setups, this is assuming, of course, a in-person setup. I know there are some virtual options that some commissions are still doing, but assuming you're in a in-person setup, the commissioners are usually at the small end of the room with their backs to the wall. They're the ones that are the safest in the room. That's how they're going to be set up. They're going to have their policy advisors there, their lawyers. Opposite them is usually going to be the interveners. To their right is usually going to be the utility expert witnesses, the personnel, as far as that goes, lawyers across. The commissioners have others ask questions on their behalf. So how does that look body language-wise? When you're sitting there and you're testifying, you're getting a question from an intervener. You're looking at that intervener, and then your response is directly to the commissioner. Everything that you speak, you're speaking directly to the commissioner. So body language-wise, you're showing the intervener the respect and listening to them, and then you turn your head and you respond to their question directly to the commissioner, directly to the one who's having them ask questions on their behalf. Does that make sense? So as you're doing this, be very apparent why there. You know why you're there. This isn't a game. You know exactly why you're there. You're well composed. You're put together. You are not there for conversation. If you can answer a question with one word, do it. Don't give them more ammunition. Think about the whole Miranda rights, anything you can. You say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Unfortunately, a lot of the interveners and counterparties, they're looking for something to hang you with. Don't give them that ammunition. Silence is your friend. If you can answer a question with one word, do it, and then you sit there in silence. Most people can't take silence, and they're going to hang themselves if you do that. And if you can get away with one word, do it. But you know why you're there. You're not there to add color. You're not there to pontificate on why you did something. If they didn't ask you that question, you don't answer that question. Why? Because they're only looking for information they can use against you. Your attorneys will tell you how this is done. They're going to teach you how to formulate your answers. But the safe harbor in this, last point I want to mention before I go on to body language again, your safe harbor is always the law. Why did you do something? Well, because it's the law. So how would that look if somebody asked you a question? You would start your answer with, well, according to the plan approved by the commission, we did X, Y, Z. That's what's safest in this environment because everyone is reading you as you're giving these answers. And because you might have a $10, $20, $100 million budget in jeopardy, these conversations matter. And how you approach them matters. So what should you do in this situation? How should you sit? Most of the time you're going to be at a table. Again, usually commissioners off to one side. Your safest bet for body language in this situation, assuming there wasn't this skirt on the table, ideally legs flat on the floor, arms at your side. This is the safest place to answer questions. If you have materials in front of you, it is okay to have those materials, but most of the time people are going to look at this as you're insecure. If you're touching something, if you're holding something, if you're clutching something, it's not usually going to go well for you. In this situation, this is where you're at. This is an unemotional process. This is a court of law. In that situation, as Rebecca talked about, emotions and gestures are linked. If this is an unemotional process, you shouldn't have emotional gestures. You shouldn't be talking with your hands. It's not going to go well for you in this situation. So with that, it's a lot easier to talk about what you should not do than what you should do. So if you would, please.
Yes, so you do not want to have your hands in your pockets up here. You don't want to have your legs crossed.
Especially if they could see you, yes.
Yeah, you don't want to have your legs crossed. Even, yeah, we're assuming you're going to see it. Your hands in your pocket. You don't want to be fidgeting. You want to be calm and collected right here.
Yeah, because that example, it shows somebody that's closed off. And if they feel that your body language is closed off, guess what? They're going to grill you even harder. And they're really going to go after it. It's like blood in the water. This next thing, it's a conversational signal when I talked about when we do the small head nod, like, I acknowledge you, I see you. You do not want to do this when you're testifying. Let's say there's an intervener in the room and they're opposition to you. If you're nodding your head as a conversational signal while they're talking, what it communicates to the commissioner is you actually agree with the intervener. Yeah, that will not go well for you.
You don't want to have your hands behind your back. Looks like you're hiding something.
Yeah, that's someone who's keeping themselves in control. They're about to lose it. And that's what it communicates to others in the room that are watching them. Finger pointing, just don't do this in life. That's the easiest way to say it. But especially if you're testifying, it's symbolic. It's like a club. It's like you're beating the audience. Not what you want to do.
You don't want to be doing this. You really don't want something right in front of you, but you don't want to be doing this. You definitely don't want to be clutching a water bottle. This shows that you feel like you need something to protect yourself.
Yeah, nobody does that. So when you see somebody clenching their hands like that or holding a water bottle with two hands, who does that? It shows that you're vulnerable to attack. Another thing is steepling. Think about like a gesture, almost like praying. When you have somebody who's like this, this presents the picture that you know everything. You don't want to do this, especially when you're testifying, because that's what you're going to communicate to the room, that you are the expert and you know everything. Yeah, you're going to encourage people to attack you if you do this.
This is just a bad habit. Get out of that. Okay, so when you lie, this is called the Pinocchio effect. Your nose patches swell, your interorbital swells, muscles swell, and you just can't help it. It's your nose. So scratch it.
Yeah, so anytime you're testifying and you scratch your nose, you've just communicated to people that you probably just lied. That's the reality of the situation. Remember when I said clusters of information? This is the one exception. When you see someone touch their face, specifically their nose, it usually happens right after somebody told a lie. It's weird how it happens like that. So if you're having a conversation, all of a sudden, somebody develops a really itchy nose. What did they say right before that? Yes, exactly. When you ask a child, what do they have in their hands? Nothing. Anytime when you're testifying and you hide your hands in any way, shape, or form, that's what the emotion it elicits in people. What is this person hiding? Anytime you move your hands like that.
Okay, you want to avoid, this is just every day, but you want to avoid doing this because and if you're a person that runs cold, like I always have run cold, just bring an extra jacket, make sure you don't do this, closed off.
Absolutely. One variation, if this is very different than this. This is someone who wants to physically harm you, potentially, literally. You see this, proceed cautiously or exit gracefully.
They're trying to control themselves so they won't do anything.
Definitely want to don't do that, please.
So this is like a self-soothing hug. If someone's feeling like really threatened or uncomfortable, they're going to do this. So in a way, if you can, offer them something so they open up, but try not to do this.
But if you're doing that in front of a commission while you're testifying, it's going to show that you're not sure of yourself. That's going to be like blood in the water. Same thing with fidgeting. Holding handcuffs, even clutching. If I was walking into the hearing and I was clutching a computer bag, who does that? People that need security. This could be a purse, it could be anything. That's literally what it means. Not that you do this, but.
Never do this, especially in front of the commission. Don't touch your head, don't raise your hands, defeat.
Yeah, sorry for any Bears fans in the audience. There we go. Same thing, if you're in the hearing, if you're in that front row providing expert witness for your attorneys right in front of you, as you walk into the room, as you're greeting people, don't do this handshake. Everybody's watching. It's going to come across as domineering, and people are going to make judgments about you. Similarly,
Again, when you're shaking a hand, you don't want to put your hand over their hand because it's like a little condescending, and also, I'm hugging you. If you're not going to hug them, you wouldn't do that.
yeah, this picture that was the Nevada governor and Elon Musk. The Nevada governor was courting Elon Musk to build a factory in Nevada. Apparently, it was successful. Still, this gives off the used car salesman vibe. Not really what you want to do. So as you're getting in there, any questions about the testifying? We've got 5 minutes left, but I'm happy to speak even faster. So, questions? Come find me afterwards. So how do you make the most of your conference experience? One thing I'm going to encourage you to do is some etiquette. So you and I are meeting. So if I go up to greet you, if you would stand. Absolutely. This is how you can show respect here in the conference. Thank you for standing. I really appreciate it. You're important, and I wanted to meet you, and showing that level of importance to one another, really great.
Yes. Eye contact, I feel like this is the most important, that you give the time to give that proper eye contact to say, I see you. But also, don't just stare people down. Look around their face.
Yes. For the next one, if I can have, actually, let's say the three of you come up. I'm going to make a food line here. You're going to have a buffet. How do you interrupt somebody in a buffet respectfully? Yes, please. Yes. Yeah. So if I wanted to talk to, you'll be right here in the middle, if I wanted to talk to you and you're trying to interrupt somebody who's in the food line, don't scare people. The food's this way, so you're all pointed this way. I'm not going to run up and introduce myself like that. People don't like that. Come across the front. Hey, there you are. I'd like to talk to you. Hey. So, and I'm going to probably tell you, hey, I'm not cutting in line. I'm just going to talk to him for real quick. Absolutely. So I can actually walk out of here decently. Easier way to do that. That way it's just much more natural. So thank you. You were my food line. I appreciate that could work too. That's different body language. So you're going to be...
Bar event settings, you know, we're going to be at some meet and greets. And so how are we going to act in those? Bobby, tell us.
Could I volunteer from this table? So in this situation, let's say you met someone finally who operates, I'm going to have you right over here. Let's say you met somebody who operates a similar program that you do from across the country. You've been waiting all year to have this meeting. I'm really looking forward to this time. How do I make sure that I don't get interrupted and I do it respectfully for the person that comes up? We're going to slow it down first. So in a situation like this where you and I are talking, we're having a just good conversation. If I see her coming up to me, I'm going to close off my body language. And I'm going to face you, and I'm going to say, hey, will you give me just a second? And I'll say, hey, it's really good to see you. Will you give me like 5 minutes? And I'm going to come find you. And I'm going to look back at you and open up, and then I'm going to let go. Does that make sense? So it's a real gentle touch, like, hey, give me just a second. I'm not going to break what we have because I really want to talk to you. I've been waiting all year to talk to you. So in that situation, I'm just going to close off my body language, say, hey, give me just a second while I address her, and then we're going to go from there. It feels better for the person that's trying to do the interrupting as well, because most people, they just get really excited. They just want to see you. You want to leave them feeling respected at the same time. Easy way to do that, just close off the body language. I say, give me just a second before I even acknowledge her. Then I'll acknowledge her, tell her I'll come back with her. It goes down a lot easier as far as that goes. Thank you for coming up here. Personal space.
Okay, so we all have our personal space that we feel most comfortable, but this is what the Western personal space consideration, but there's also cultural. So see how other people feel. Use this as a guideline, but also just mirror their comfort level.
Yeah. If I step up to you and you back up, I'm not supposed to chase her around the room. Yeah. I take that boundary for real. Business meals, if you're trying to talk to someone about something, whoever's back is to the wall is going to feel the most secure. That's just basic physical safety. It'll also help you as far as that goes. Have the conversation before most of the food gets there. But with that, I'd like to give you some resources of where you can go. This is the best body language book that's out there. I absolutely hate it, but it's still the best one that's out there.
It's a little cheesy.
Yes. It's very dry. You'll see we have difference of opinion, but that's okay. Center for Body Language, really good for micro expressions, which we didn't get a chance to go into today. One of the easiest things you can do with micro expressions, once you learn the 7 basic facial gestures as far as what they mean, micro expressions are actually more accurate than body language. They show everybody what you're really feeling, because the way that we're designed, our electrical impulses go up through your brainstem, and then they hit your amygdala. That's the almond-shaped gland where all your emotions come from, and then they go to your prefrontal cortex. That's why when you're doing this, the emotions always come first before the actions. And you can read that on a person's face. So one of the things I do, I'll watch TV for 10 minutes. I'll go back, see how accurate I was. But with that, questions?
Just one quick thing. To translate all this into the digital sphere, because a lot of us are on video,
Yes.
would you more so focus on the micro expression?
That's exactly where I was leading you. Yes. In the virtual world, you want to focus on micro expressions because all you have is right here. Being able to read someone's facial expression, especially there's only 7 main gestures there, but they show up on the same face on everyone's face in the entire world. Doesn't matter if you're from the Amazon or Asia or the US, everyone has the exact same micro expressions, so they transcend even body language.
And once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them.
Yeah,
it's practice.
Occupational hazard. So yes, I'm famous for understanding in my personal relationships exactly when I suck. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I'll do better. Thank you, I appreciate that. I get constant feedback. Questions before I send you off to the boat? Anything? Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Now, if anybody hasn't seen... I can do it. Oh, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan. Like Bobby mentioned, we have our river cruise here in about an hour and a half. So at 5:15, there's going to be a shuttle leaving from this area over here, as well as groups of people that are going to be walking there. It's maybe a 10-15-minute walk down there. But the shuttle will take you right there to the Wrigley building, and it's just maybe a couple hundred feet from there. So if you have any questions, like you can ask us at the reg desk, or by me or any member of the CLEAResult team, we'll help you out. The boat departs at 6 p.m., so the last group walking is going to be at about 5:45. So tell your colleagues or anyone on your team if they want to go on the boat cruise that they need to be down here by 5:45 or down by the boat.
Absolutely. These are my real business cards. I'm from Las Vegas, and yes, these are poker chips. If you'd like some, come up. Rebecca's going to be handing these out. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.